back in about 2016, and it has been a wonderful journey. If you are interested in getting involved in the cryptocurrency space, whereby you want to be able to have good, sound, ethical, quality information as to what's happening in this crypto space, when to get in, when to get out, how to trade the markets, and how to have, I guess, the best expertise that I find out there, in my opinion. I got involved with it back in 2016, and it has been truly a great journey. So I'm going to share my screen with you and just share with you some of the wonderful benefits that this company has to offer. So just bear with me a moment. So what we have is a company that has almost everything you want for the cryptocurrency market. So what I would highly recommend is you go to bitcointaf.com and simply sign up for free and then research all of the different services that they provide. It is truly remarkable. For example, if you want to know specifically just Bitcoin, what has happened, what is happening, and what is going to happen in the future, then I would seriously look at subscribing to Marius Landman's long-term Bitcoin algorithm forecast report. This report has been uncannily accurate over the last 10 years. On a macro level, it's been phenomenal. And more importantly, you know not only what's happened and how accurate it is, but you know how accurate it's going to be going forward. And that's the important part. So to give you an idea of just how important that is, I'm just going to share with you some of the past information to show you how accurate it is. So, like I said, this information has been accurate now for over 10 years on a macro level, not on a timestamp model, because what we need to understand is in any market, the big boys can stretch out a pattern or compress a pattern. So you have to look at things over a longer time frame. And when you do that, you really get to understand what is going on in the marketplace. And you can sit back and relax and not overreact to the nuances that are going on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis. But if you notice here, the Damascus Gate is now in progress, but this data goes 100% in track, goes all the way back to 2016. And even here recently, we had the number 13 mastery pattern, which predicted the high, which actually turned out to happen on November the 9th, 2021. So this is where this was already predicted a year and a half ahead of time, and it played out perfectly. Then we went into the knowledge pattern where we were predicted we were going to have this thing go down and predict a new low, which is exactly what happened. And lo and behold, when we get down here in November of 2022, that's when the low kicked in. And then we're now starting the whole new cycle. And this is the number 16 Prince of Jerusalem cycle that Marius is naming for us to follow the patterns. And so far, we have 4 patterns that have played out of the 16. And we had basically the Jaffa Gate happen here in 2023. And then we jumped into a quick Zion Gate here in the early parts of 24. And then we went into a very unusual gate. We kicked up into this Dung Gate. And that started in about March of 2024. And it was a difficult pattern because it trended up and trended down. And everybody kept predicting that time we were going to break out. And it just didn't happen. And this played out all the way down into October, November of 2024. And then we had the sudden jump into this new Damascus Gate, which is 90% or 95% played out. And you'll notice this was a very long stretched out gate compared to some of these other patterns in the past. So what's interesting here is a year and a half before Marius even gave us this pattern, he said it was going to play out in a very unusual head and shoulders pattern that is not a true head and shoulders, but it's going to look kind of like that when it does all play out. He also predicted that it was going to have a big falling knife 1, which happened right in this zone. And then we've hit a falling knife 2, which is in the progress of completing as we speak. So these patterns have played out 100% and are continually playing out to that degree. So the question everybody now is asking, what's going to happen in the future? That is the $1 million question. And ironically, if you don't have this information, just bear with me a moment, I have to get my cursor. Bear with me. There it is. The everybody now is guessing as to what's going to happen in the future. So sorry, I have to fix this up again. I'm having a little trouble with my computer this morning. So let's just delete that. Okay. For some reason, I've got a real delay on TradingView today, and I'm not sure why. It's driving me a bit crazy. However, we're at the front of the market. What's going to happen next? If you listen to so many different people, they're saying some are going to say we're going to now from here take off to the moon. Others are saying no, we are heading down into another we're talking a major drop all the way back down into this bottom $25,000 range. Others are saying, no, we're just going to play a sideways pattern. The question is that if you don't have these subscriptions to Marius's reports, you don't know what's going to happen. And that's where we do. We can sit back and relax, knowing exactly what's going to happen. Now, here's some other good news. He also does algorithms and Elliott wave charts on the altcoins as well. And for a limited time, if you were to subscribe to Marius's long-term reports, you will get his Elliott wave reports on all of the altcoins as well for free. So, for example, if you were to buy a 3-month subscription to the long-term reports for $298, you would be getting all of the altcoin reports as well for free, which is a huge savings of $447. Now, along with that, this company also provides an incredible amount of education. So if you really want to become more successful in trading these markets, utilizing these long-term projections and then short-term predictions, I suggest you seriously take a look at the educational side of this. I would start off with taking the self-paced foundational course if you've not done any trading in the early days. But if you have some trading experience, then personally, I'd be recommending the Ultimate Trading course. It is by far the best course that I have ever taken. I've taken other trading courses in the past. I've paid 2 or 3 times the value or the dollar amount and got 1/3 of the value. This course is the most complete ultimate course you'll ever come across. When you've completed it, you will become your own analyst. You'll be able to trade any market with the custom indicators that are provided. You can trade stocks, bonds, Forex, commodities, crypto, whatever market that you so choose to work in. So there's something here for everybody. Even for the advanced traders, we're now getting into the ultimate decentralized finance courses as well, where you can be trading in the DeFi space. So to give you an idea just how valuable this is, I'm going to start off by telling you there's one tool that was developed by Wendy Landman, who originally was designed to do short-term trading, and I do mean short-term, where we're talking utilizing 3-minute, 1-minute, 5-minute candles, 15-minute candles. Whereas more of the trading style I use is a little longer term. But she created this HODL bot, which works extremely well on a macro level and on longer candle levels of knowing when to get in and when to get out of the market. So I'm going to share with you the combination of utilizing the HODL along with utilizing the Day Trade Masters pre-trade setups and calls, and then applying the HODL indicator and the ultimate trade detonator indicators to show you just how valuable you create this. So here we are bringing up a coin called Pump. Now, wouldn't it be nice to know with this kind of coin, and this is 8-hour candles, by the way. So these are, takes time for this to play out. The key here is it would be wonderful to know when the top came in so you could get out and when a bottom came in so you could get back in. So knowing where the tops and bottoms are extremely important. Here's the good news. This HODL provides you exactly with that tool. So I'm going to just turn on all the indicators on this particular tool. As I say, you can customize this tool to your own utilization. And you can set alerts. So you can set an alert on here to tell you, when a bottom comes in, or when a top comes in, when a buy or sell comes in, all of these different alerts to help you navigate this, because you're dealing with 8-hour candles. Of course, 4 candles is 24 hours. So we need to be always planning ahead. So here's the beautiful thing about it. This gives us pivot tops and pivot bottoms and tops. Now you'll notice that most of these are in black, whereas at the front of the chart, the pivots are in blue. What that means is it's not 100% confirmed that's a pivot bottom. That could be a false bottom. That's why you need to have more confluence. You need to have other indicators to tell you that it's a good bet. So if you were using this by itself, here's what I would be looking for. I'd be looking for a pivot bottom, but then I'm looking for a buy tag to know for sure there's added confluence. So it's like 2 check marks versus 1 check mark. And at that point, this is when I would have entered this trade, right about here. And I'm just going to make that in large so you can see it on the screen. But at that point in time, that would have been in blue, which means it wasn't confirmed. So what I would do is set a stop loss down into about this range, whatever risk tolerance you have, to protect my capital. So in this case, I would only be risking basically 7-8% of my total investment in this trade. Now, as this coin starts moving up, and I see that this is going into a nice bull market, I would then move my stop loss up into a break even. Now I've got a risk-free trade going on. And what I'm looking for is a blue pivot top. And at that point, that's when I would have exited this trade, say right in this zone, approximately. And I would have locked in a healthy 13% profit. So that's basically how this tool works. And you can see when you get some nice runs, like for example, you could have made roughly about 40% here in this run. And then see how this thing, you just would stay out. Also too, just take a note, the SMA 200, trades above that have higher probability of success versus trades below the 200. So that's kind of how I like to utilize this by itself. Now, if I'm going to be utilizing this with other indicators, I'm going to show you how I would have maybe taken different strategies. So let's turn on some of the other indicators that we would have had. So I'm just going to now turn on the detonators indicators that are from the Ultimate Trade course. Now, ironically, if I would have had these tools, I probably would have got in this trade a little earlier. Why? Because I'm looking for other confluence. So let's just repeat. We had a bottom pivot here. That's a check mark 1. We had another one. We had a buy tag here. We had 2. But if you'd utilized the detonator, we would have had actually 2 more indicators to tell us when to get in. Here, we had a nice green dot at the bottom on the oscillator ready to turn up. So that would have been maybe to get in a little early. Also, we would have had this starting to cross the red crossing over the green. That would have given us another reason to get in a little early. Now, as this played out, when this crossed over, ironically, that is when the buy tag came in. So here, I could have gotten in a little early, say probably in closer to this zone, and I would have locked in a little larger profit range by having greater tools to work with. So in this case, I could have picked up 20% versus the 13 or so percent with the other. Again, these are actually confluence. Now, because this is a top, we'd be out. But here we are today. We've got a bottom pivot. It's a temporary pivot. Do we get in? Well, let's take a look at our indicators. So we have a buy tag, or sorry, a pivot, but we don't have a buy tag. So that's a neutral. We have a green dot showing the oscillator is turning up. We also have something interesting going on here. I'll just expand this. So we have this starting to go the right direction, but suddenly it's turning. Now, if I were to make that bigger, you can see that this could be a false breakout. Something's not right here. So I'm just going to show you this So you see what I'm talking about right here where that is changing. So that is a warning sign for me. So there I would be, okay, this is a negative, this is a positive. So you got two positives and you also have two negatives because we don't have a buy tag here, right? I'm looking for a buy tag and I'm not getting it. So I would just wait, be patient, let this play out. So you see how utilizing all the different indicators can help you make better decisions. Had I not had these other indicators, I would be no problem. I still would be waiting for that buy tag to come in. So the other thing you need to understand with these tools is that the shorter the time frames on your candles, the higher probabilities of some of these not planning out. That's why you always want to do stop losses, no matter if and when you get in. Protect your capital. So these are the indicators that we're trained on, and it really helps us to trade and make better decisions and have higher probabilities of success. So that is why I wanted to share with you this today, so that you could help make better decisions. So if you have an opportunity to have that kind of information, wouldn't that make that nice? Let's just take a look at one other point. Day Trade Masters and medium-term trend reports gives us trade calls that we know ahead of time what's happening. This call was made this morning, whereby we got a green dot on the 2-hour candle, and we got an early buy signal in this zone utilizing just these indicators. Again, you could have gotten in around this range, set your stop loss, and you'll notice that as it's starting to ride up, you see the big reading resistance. We just got a red dot here, which is telling us, okay, we're heading back down. This is also telling us we're heading back down. It's time to get out. This has lost its momentum and it's heading back down again. However, if we could have got in this morning and made this nice little trade, we would have got in around this point and we had gotten out right about here, locked in a nice little 19%, in a nice 6-hour trade. So that's the beauty of utilizing Day Trade Masters along with the education from the Ultimate Trading course. Now, if I were to turn on the Auto Fire, we got the bottom pivot, we got the buy tag, so that's where we would have gotten in. Now, here we don't have a pivot top, but we have these other indicators telling us that we could probably got a pivot top coming in, high probability. So you can ride this out with, if you're waiting for the pivot top, you would move your stop loss. In this case, I would be moving it into a real tight zone about here. Let me just grab this again. In other words, I would be locking in a risk-free trade and a guaranteed profit if I was looking for that other indicator. So it really depends on your trading style and your risk profile. So I would have locked in a lovely 11% no matter what, and we could let this play out. But as I said, these indicators are telling me that this is going to retrace back down. So why not get out with a little higher profit and then wait and see? We can always get back in. So we can make 18% versus 11%. So this is the beauty of utilizing these tools. So that's why I'm suggesting that you sign up for free on bitcointap.com and start with these long-term reports where you get these on a weekly basis, downloadable in PDF format, plus you get weekly Zoom calls where we go through all of this data and people can ask questions and you get your questions answered. So you can really understand where the market is, where it's going to go on a long-term basis. And then from there, we can make better decisions on our day trading or weekly trading, depending on your style. So as I said, there's something here for everybody. It's a question of what is right for you. So with that, I'd like to thank you for joining me today, and hopefully we'll talk to you again. You'll be signed up and we'll see you on the other side. Have a good week.